It says you're live. But am I? Am I?
No.
I don't see me on the YouTubes yet. Almost.
Let me scooch up.
Wait for
scooching up to get closer.
Oh no. There you go. Nope, not yet. We're just sitting here like
We'll just talk amongst ourselves.
I know. I just think that it's not going to. Are you going to come on or no? Ciao. Hey, Jamie. As soon as it comes on, it's not on yet.
What'd you do? What'd you do, Dolores? Maybe it's taking a nap.
Oh. Honestly, it's not on yet. Oh dear. Oh, here we go. It's on.
I was saying, everybody's saying hi.
Hi, Bree. Hey,
Sally.
Jamie. Hey, Sally. Hey, Amanda. Yeah. Since you're gonna call me out on my.
That's what I'm here for. I am the mean one. You're the nice one.
So, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Miss Dan Jewelry. I'm Dolores, and there is Daniel.
Hi.
Call his friend out. Okay, so what happened?
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Yes, I am.
What would you have for lunch?
I had DQ.
So jealous. So jealous. Well, I came home from work. Mind you, I worked today. Although I only worked 6 hours. Because I only have to work 6 hours on a Friday because I'm off tomorrow and Monday. But I came home, went and did some stuff, had my dinner, and thought I'll just lay here for a minute and watch a podcast. I listened to a podcast. Dave comes and goes, hey, don't you have a live at 7? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, then you need to get up. I fell asleep till about 10 minutes ago.
But here's the question. Was it a good nap?
Refreshing.
Then it was all worth it. It was all worth it.
It was an absolute delight. Let me tell you what. Ooh, I'm a hot mess, child. Anyway, Daniel, how are you today?
I am glowing. But
right.
We'll talk about that later. So for I'm plugging myself right now. I said This is not the channel to talk about this, but I'm going to because I'm going live at 3. And I'm having a little bitty sale, 3 at 3.
Yep.
So join me on my channel, Tacky Is Me, at 3 p.m. and we'll talk about why I'm glowing.
Yeah.
There's more than one reason why.
And so, yes, y'all don't forget to go to Daniel's channel at 3 today to see what he's got to offer. How's the weather there in old Illinois?
Well, after another round of severe weather, we are now chilly again.
Really?
Yes, it is 46 degrees here.
Well, hey, Beth.
And yesterday, until the storms came through, it was muggy and hot. And on what is today? Thursday. On Tuesday, it was 80. So yeah, there's my bestie from Italy,
Monica.
So it's pretty. The sun's shining. The clouds have finally went away, and the sun is out. But it's cold and brisk.
Oh,
quite a bit of wind. So that's the way it'll happen till May. We'll be up, and then the tornadoes come through, and we'll go back down and repeat and rinse.
Well, at least it's sunny, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? And it's not like crazy storms at the moment. We're sunny today, and it rained all. It's been raining all the live long day, y'all. It was sunny one day, rainy, sunny, rainy. Today it's sunny. I think we might stay here. I think this is where we're going to be. And then the weather has the nerve to say UK set for a mini heat wave. So,
what's a heat wave?
Degrees.
Huh?
I don't know. I didn't see the temperature. I was like, okay. So today's high is probably about 58, which is super nice.
Wow, you're warmer than us.
Sunny. Yep. It's a beautiful day. Hopefully it'll start to dry out a little bit. Yes. So that's our weather. A bomb 78. Girl, that 78 like to kill me when I was there.
It's getting a little warm.
I was 78 was going about did me in. I was like,
the sad thing about it getting spring is my yard is so tall right now. I need to get, the thing is it rained, so I have an electric mower. I can't pull out my electric mower yet. It needs to dry off a little.
Yeah, same here.
That's all I need on top of everything else to be electrocuted.
Same here. It's pretty. We have an electric lawnmower, but it broke.
I want to get a rider.
Oh, I have no business for a rider because
I want one so bad, but geez, they're almost as much as a car.
I know. We have such a small yard that I'd get on it, like turn it on, mow about 5 inches, and be like, right, done. All right, let's go put it away.
Perfect. That's what I want. I'm tired of these hour mowing jobs.
Yeah, I just need a new mower. It just died. I'm going to borrow my neighbors till I get one. I'm sure they won't mind. We here, that's what you have, electric mowers. That's what's. I mean, very few people have petrol mowers, so they sell them. It's just that it's not necessary for my yard. Right. So I'm glad to see everybody's here. Sally says she ain't got none but mud. She gonna mow her mud. Poor Sally. She's like, this is funny. What you mean y'all gonna meet at Shipley's? Excuse me? What you talking about? No, y'all ain't meet at Shipley's unless you're gonna send me a donut. Anyway, Shipley's is a donut place in Houston. So, yeah. Anyway, so today, speaking of Houston, let me tell you a story, because this will lead into today's topic. I was with Jamie Furt, 74, and Dave. We were driving around and in Houston. And I said, girl, let's go to the old neighborhood. Let's go to the old neighborhood, girl, where we used to live. So I grew up in a subdivision called Mayfair Park, and Jamie grew up in the next subdivision called Ridgemont. Anyway, because I hadn't been there in ages, in a very long time. So let me stop me if you heard this. So we're driving around. Now Daniel's heard it. He's like, stop, I've heard this. So we're driving around, and we go into Mayfair Park, and wow, look, wow, there's. And some of the houses were still the same houses, but some of them had been knocked down, and much bigger houses had been put in their place. So, and we went by the little park, because there used to be like a little civic center or like a community center with a park, and the park was like nice and all that. I mean, because it went through a spate, my old neighborhood, where it was a little bit sketchy. Just saying, I think that happens. And it was an older neighborhood. And it just kind of it just kind of got to the point where it was really sketchy. Like So it was nice. The lawn was mowed. We went by my old house. It was nice. And Jamie says in the car, they're going to start, regenerating the area. Or, I was like, what? She said, oh, yeah. And as we're driving out of the neighborhood, there's a house for sale, right? So I see this house. I think, girl, I should get on the ground floor then, and let me see how I'll buy this house. The house looked really nice on the outside. I go on to har.com or whatever and look it up. $249,000 for this house. Mind you, when me and my brother sold my parents' house, I don't know, in 2010, 9 or 10. Remember, Jamie, when we had to go and get we had to call the police to come and do a walkthrough. Anyway, I think we sold it for, now I need a lot of work to be fair. We sold it for 90. And so we were like, and so to go from 2009, 2010 to today, where that house, which was 90 to, I'd say 90 to 100,000, uh, is now worth 249,000. Now, the pictures of the house were beautiful. The inside had been gutted and redone everything. But if the area it's in, I was quite shocked that it was $249,000. Now I understand house prices have gone up since, then, but by that much. And then I started thinking about, is this like the gentrification of Mayfair Park? Are they gentrifying my old neighborhood? Now, because where it's located is on a main road called South Post Oak. And right next to the neighborhood is what they call the Beltway. Well, that was built when I still lived there. And it was a toll road that went around Houston on the outskirts of Houston. So you didn't have to go into Houston to get anywhere, on the other sides of Houston. So when they put that in, I thought then when I lived there that the prices were going to go up, and they never. In fact, it kind of got worse. And then I moved. Then I moved to England, and me and my brother sold the house, and that was it, done. So I just wanted to talk about gentrification in neighborhoods. Now, gentrification, if you're not familiar, is the process whereby the character of a poor urban area is changed by wealthier people moving in, improving housing, attracting new businesses, often displacing current inhabitants in the process. Now, of course, you know me, you've been here before. I have a pro and con list. Because if I'm honest with you, I'm not sure what's usually when there's a pro or con list. Okay, so here's Jamie. So let's just go ahead and just put Jamie up here. There have been roughly 3 shootings and 1 carjacking in the area in the last 4 weeks. I told Jeff not to leave the compound to go to lunch. Oh, is that where you live, Jamie? Or is that where you live now? Or is that where we used to live? Anyway, so I don't know which side of the fence to be on. Usually when I have a pro and con list, I'm one or the other. And today I'm like, is it good or is it bad? Gosha, hey girl. So girl, not over here where we used to live. I was going to say, girl, you need to move. So, well, that's the thing. So clearly it's still not the safest area to live in. But with that kind of house price, and then off of South Post Oak. Okay, well, that's not far from us. That could be, girl, Almeda and South Post Oak. I don't know. So I just think what's best, and what happens when areas are gentrified. Daniel, would you like to have any thoughts about it?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so it's and I don't know, maybe where some of you living right now, and Dave was like, does that happen in the UK? I was like, look around, Clay Cross, they're doing it here. Do you know what I mean? So I think, I don't know, there's a list of both, and I'll match one to the other. Now, it may be that where you live, you're experiencing that, or maybe you live in a neighborhood that maybe, wow, if it was gentrified, my property would be worth more, it would be safer, XYZ. So, and they've done this in a couple of neighborhoods. I forgot to put the link in. After we get off here, I will put a link to a great Houston Chronicle article about certain neighborhoods in the Houston area that are now experiencing gentrification. And it was very interesting. Okay, so, oh my man, she's like, gentrify me. She's like, I'm gentrified. So there's pros and cons. So let's start with the pro, because we have to start. Let's start with the pro. So the pro of gentrification is you will experience the atmosphere of the community beginning to lift. Yes. Okay. I agree. I can see that. It says the people who come into the communities have a lot of, the new people come into the communities have a lot of energy thanks to the gentrification process. These are folks who will like grab a cup of coffee on the way to work, maybe start doing documentaries in the area, about their lives, create experiences, TikToking and whatnot. Trendy, cool. Everybody wants to live there. Look at me. It's great. So, and it says you will find a conversation waiting for you on almost anything regarding current events in these neighborhoods. Calm down. I don't know if that's going to happen straight away. Oh, look, we're going to go to Amanda's and have toasted crumpets. Thank you, girl. It sounds delish. So that's one of the pros, that, you're going to get new life into the community with new people, putting in money, spending money on their properties, and the properties starting to elevate and look really nice, and it's going to be desirable. People are going to want to live there. And if you live in a place like I used to wish that for when I lived in Mayfair Park, I used to wish that would happen. Like, I want this, this beltway came through, and where's the gentrification? Where's the increase? You know what I mean? Or more like, where's the safety? Where's the community pride about where you live? And I'm not saying it wasn't there, but the area did suffer a downturn. And we just saw, Jamie said there was 3 shootings. But to be fair, that could happen anywhere. I'm not just saying it's because it's, in that area. So then that's the pro of gentrification. The con is it's more like it changes the cultural standards of the neighborhood. And that was what I had read about a couple of neighborhoods in Houston where the cultural landscape started to change, and not necessarily for the better. So gentrification isn't about what new folks can do to help a neighborhood. The process brings change to everyone who already lives in the area that is being gentrified. It would be like having a grocery store selling steaks and pork chops, and which then starts to sell quinoa and kale because someone saw that those foods were healthier, instead of trying to continue the culture which already exists. It overrides what is already there to cultivate a new standard of normalcy. I agree with that as well. I agree with, there's certain, like when you go to where I live, where I grew up, Mayfair Park, there was many Mexican meat markets, Mexican stores, all kinds of different little small businesses. And when bigger things come in, they tend to eradicate it, not because they run them out, it's because then the rent goes up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you start to become kind of pushed out, and the cultural things that you're used to start to kind of maybe leave because there's, maybe they feel like there's no place for them, or it's too expensive for them to then rent a shop there. Both of those I see both. That's the thing, I see both sides though. Do you know what I mean? It's just, how do you, I guess my question is, not even the question, my what I'm thinking in my head is, how do you improve an area and then keep it to where you don't lose the cultural bases and the cultural stores and all the good things about that community? I mean, how do you do that? Daniel, you have any thoughts?
No, because we don't have any of that going on around here. Ours is very, you have your little, we're not a big, we're a town. We're a town. Well, they call it city, but it's tiny. But you have your places where the rich people live.
Uh-huh.
You have your places where the middle class, which would be rich, less, live. And then you have the rest of us.
Okay.
It's like literally on the wrong side of the tracks. Literally where the train tracks are at and north, people know, things are going to happen in that neighborhood, which is my neighborhood. But I don't know how to feel about any of this stuff because I don't live in big cities. They scare me. And I don't live in cultural places. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Right. Yeah. No.
But I have seen, like you said, in neighborhoods where there's shootings and gang-related violence and all that stuff. I don't even know how you would gentrify a place like that.
Right.
Who's going to have the cojones to move in to a place like that and try to change it? Because you would have to have more. I mean, I know it has to start somewhere. And this is going to sound horrible, but how's that one person going to survive?
Right. No, I see what you're saying.
In that neighborhood. If you're putting a Target like that, where you're fixing up this house and it's looking rich next to all this other stuff,
right?
How are you going to change the environment in which it's in? And yeah, Bree knows what I'm talking about.
Hater.
And is there a way to, like I said, I can't speak on anything because I have not been around people of different cultures, a whole lot of different skin tones, whatever. I live in a very whitewashed, backwoods, country, redneck, folky kind of place. How do you help change that type of place to make it better without running everybody off? How do you change the mindset of this is how we have to live to survive and do what we have to do? That what I'm trying to say is I don't understand how gentrification even starts.
Okay, so usually what happens is, and I get what you're saying, like, is it like a people movement? Are people, like, let's say a band of artisans decide we're going to all move to this neighborhood and fix it up. Meanwhile, pew pew. You know what I mean? Like, and yes, that's kind of how it can happen. But normally, it starts off with a developer starting to buy up land in the area that you are that is in question. So let's say, for instance, I just go back to Mayfair Park. There's a guy that says, "Man, I can get a house for $40,000." Now, I could buy 5 or 6 of these, right? And then I can start to, build them up, get them nice, each one, right? Hey, Christy and Jeannie. So what they start to do is start to buy these houses up and start to fix them. Now, yeah, it's an investor developer movement. So they see a couple of abandoned houses, can buy them cheap, start to fix it up, start to advertise it. They usually have friends and, other wealthy friends who have maybe other skills where they're advertising or they're in, finance or they're in this, and they get people to move in. Like, if you buy this house, you'll get like so much off it, or just to get everybody else to come in. And they're not selling these houses like for what they bought them for. They're selling them for a lot more. And then you have so what developers do, like I said, like where I grew up, it's right by the Beltway. It is the perfect place to live if you work in the medical center, if you work in downtown Houston, if you work on, an A-Leaf, if you work here, there, because where it's at is right next to the tollway, which will go all to these places without being stuck in traffic. So you have to go, you use a tollway. So that would be the lure to get people there. Where it's at, location wise, it's perfect because you can get all around Houston without having to go on 45, 610, 59, which are all very, very congested freeways. So that's like, or 288, which is always being under construction. So that's kind of like, we've got these houses, and you see these signs when you're driving someplace. If you lived here, you'd be home now. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it has like a subdivision, or I see them in Texas. And so I think, and then so the developers come in and start to market these houses to people, and maybe in more upscale. It's affordable. It's not affordable for maybe the people who live there now, but it's maybe more affordable for people who can't live in Bel Air or Meyerland, which are very expensive places to live now. But they're closer within the city. So, but if you live on the Beltway, you don't have to be within the city because the Beltway will take you right around. So I think it can be done, but the developers will come in and start either knocking the houses down or, maybe redoing the houses, keeping the houses as they are, but just really kitting them out and making them nicer. So, that's how it starts. That's how gentrification kind of starts. And then so you're a developer, right? And you've got friends who own a couple of franchises. You tell your friends, why don't you move your franchises in there? It's all very like everybody knows everybody, or people, it's all people who own businesses and who know all these people start to work together to move in. Hi, Sandy.
I do want to make a clarification about what I said. Let's be clear as far as bad neighborhoods or rundown neighborhoods. It is not based on ethnicity.
Oh, no.
Or the color of one's skin or anything like that. Because, I mean, I live in Podunkville, so what is considered a bad neighborhood is not, we don't have gang shootings and stuff. But the stuff that goes on here, there's no color involved. It all has to do with drugs and probably alcohol or whatever else is going on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there. I didn't want to make it sound like that all bad neighborhoods are just because there's a certain race of people or there's certain classification of people or anything like that. It can be bad no matter what.
A lot of it, like you said, drugs are not discriminatory. They affect everybody in every race. And that leads to desperation. When you're desperate for drugs, you'll do desperate things because if you're on drugs, you can't work. It's like a catch-22, but you need money to buy more drugs. And that does, again, addiction doesn't discriminate, y'all. So, and I'm not saying that's why people steal. Some people, or whatever. But, and yeah, here in Clay Cross. So here in Clay Cross, they're building, it was awarded $24.1 million from, I don't know if it was from the government or from what they call leveling up. What leveling up is where people down south, like in London and all that, make this much. And because we're up north, we make this much. So in order to bring us up here, they give us money. They give the county money to level up. It's never level because London is, it's just because the way it is. Also the property in London. So they've given Clay Cross this much money to kind of bring us up to here. And they're building all these houses. They're tearing down everything. And now some of the buildings were derelict. Some of the buildings were old, like industrial buildings. But most of the stuff around here was just land. Pretty trees, land, nature, and they just houses. The problem with that is when you start to build like that, you don't, a lot of places, and even with when you gentrify a place, you start to bring on more people in, more houses. But the problem is your infrastructure. So you don't have the infrastructure. You don't have the roads to support it. You don't have the schools. You don't have the doctors, the dentists to support this number of people coming in. So that's another problem. Unless doctors start to come in and businesses start to come in, you can build all this stuff, and you can have all these houses, but you may be food poor where there's not enough grocery stores or there's not enough, places for people to go and have like to the parks because there's no parks left. So that's what's happening here. And Clay Cross was a mining town. This is another reason why I'll tell you why. Towns end up kind of getting to the point where they're poor, there's less money in it, because this used to be a mining town. So this town and all the towns around it were based on the mining industry. So when that went away in during Thatcherism, or even a little before that, uh, the mines closed. These people had no jobs. You had whole communities out of work, and they got, it's like certain, some of them got payouts from the coal companies, and some of them didn't. So you have now a whole entire community, a whole village, mind you, a whole small town, unemployed. That's how it happens. That's how, neighborhoods and small towns and villages end up becoming poorer because there's no work. And the people who can move away do, but then some people just can't afford to move because how they gonna move? They ain't making no money. Do you know what I mean? They can't afford rent somewhere else. This is cheap rent because of the area it's in. So that's where Clay Cross was for a very, very long time. And, it attracted kind of like riffraff, drugs, alcohol, addiction problems. People got problems because they got depressed and they couldn't work. They couldn't find a job. And so that happens everywhere. But that's what happened here. And now you've got big grocery stores coming in, big coffee shops, big chain things. And all the mom and pop shops are starting to be eaten up because they can't afford the rent. So that's kind of weird. So gentrification is pretty much fixing that problem by by developers either buying land in that area or buying the houses and raising them to put new houses. So it doesn't. And so there's many reasons why, like I just said, unemployment is a lot of reasons why certain neighborhoods and towns tend to, get bad or go down, so to speak, in economic, wealth. So, and that's another thing. Here's the second thing why this is another pro for gentrification. It creates new options for food, retail outlets, and jobs. True. I have to agree that there's a lot more jobs here for people. And so when the gentrification process begins, you will find new storefronts, in the neighborhood. The shift in perspective can provide new options for retail opportunities, restaurants, and new hangout spots. It can be the foundation for new jobs in a community that had been lacking them in the past, like Clay Cross, and can attract wealthier buyers that shift. I'm sorry, wrong one. As people come to the area, you will find that you'll, have more coffee shops, boutiques, thrift stores. They all start to shift their product offerings to create potential for more revenue. That's true. I agree that once the area starts to have a bit of economic growth and people moving in and nicer areas and properties, you start to get businesses that want to move in. And then you start to create jobs. I mean, they may be jobs at Starbucks or McDonald's, but they're still jobs, or like the local retail store. Absolutely fine. It's a job for somebody. And so then the con. Here's the con. Gentrification can sometimes make a community poorer, which I thought I was like, oh, let me read about that. So the process of gentrification intends to improve the economic conditions of the community. The opposite can sometimes occur. The change takes a negative form when the new members of the neighborhood have a preference for a franchise or, particular stores, brand names, and all over convenience. This is what I'm saying. The mom and pop shops that typically dominate these types of small places struggle to stay in business because, like I said, the rent goes up and then they can't afford it. And I have a story about that in a minute. So you may be able to see a job increase from this process over time, but it isn't going to come from your local business owners. It's not going to be independent shops. It's going to be all franchises, which in the end, now you're putting these people out of business. Now, yes, they could get a job at Tesco, but what you really want is somebody like Lady Peacock, in her independent quirky shop with her vintage clothing. That she can't, someone like that wouldn't be able to survive if the rent gets too high. So yeah, there's a whole food to gentrify. Yeah, Sandy agreed. But let's see what some of the people in the comments are saying. Amanda Sinclair, the other two real. Oh, sorry. Let's see. Oh, there's one about DC. I gotta find it. It's meaning they aren't forcing people out. They're either buying and flipping the property or offer sale. We buy ugly houses, people. Yeah, we buy ugly houses, people. I get it, but to a certain point, if someone buys enough ugly houses, they can start to then develop that area. I mean, if you buy the ugly houses all in one area.
Well, and they sort of are forcing people out because the poorer people who've lived there that are paying a certain amount of rent, if these people come in and have property taxes go up and then their rent is higher, it's going to make the other landlords want to start
Correct
their rent.
Yeah.
So it does force people out.
It can force people out. Her neighborhood was gentrified. We moved in when it was an old Polish Eastern European neighborhood. Oh, how not? I mean, that would have been nice.
And to your point of the mom and pop shops, if you're bringing in Starbucks, Walmart, Target, Dollar Store, all those, the little mom and shop pops don't have the buying power to compete against these places that can then have their stuff be cheap. It's like along the lines of, because I've seen it with the crafting community and different people that make things, and they put them on Etsy and their prices are high because they've spent the hours and the talent of putting it in. But then Walmart or Dollar Tree buys stuff from people who are being forced to work from other countries for cheap prices that they can keep at cheap prices.
Yeah.
You can't compete with that. And people like to compare, oh, well, I can get this here. Look at your stuff, how high it is.
Yeah.
Two total different games, two total different things.
Yeah. So Dave had a question for the group. If everyone won the lottery, would they move to a posh Euro or posh house, maybe a posh area, or would they stay where they are and maybe help the neighbors to survive? Interesting question. I like it, Dave. I think I used to have this dream, and I used to tell Dave all the time that I wish maybe not win the lottery, but I wish I had a lot of money, and I guess I'd have to win the lottery to do that. So I could go back to Mayfair Park, which is now being gentrified apparently, and start and help make the community better somehow. I don't know how I would do that. I don't know what would be my, what would be, maybe get the city involved. Maybe I could pay some councilmen off to help me get, things are moving there, and I used to always think that. And I don't know. I think if I win the lottery, it depends on where I think, I don't know. I like where I live. I like the area I live in. So I'd probably stay. Yeah. I'd have a house, somewhere else too, but I'd have a vacation home, but I'd stay. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, Jamin is a nice neighborhood. She lived in a good neighborhood. And I don't mean even good neighborhood in that like it's fancy and nice. I mean the community spirit in her neighborhood is something people, would strive to want to be like. Let's see. Here in Carroll County, Maryland, the Arts Council has a peep show. Love it. Every year around Easter, people create art using candy peeps. That's the only thing they're good for because me and Daniel love peeps. You can look at it. That sounds fun. See, Monica would help the neighborhood. Margot's like, screw y'all, I'm leaving. Margot's, I'm out. It's a hard. What would you do? Oh, I know what Danny would do.
I was getting ready to say, you don't know me very well if you don't know what I'd do.
Exactly what
I'd be gone.
He'd be here.
I would be far away from people. I would have my own little place in the Lake District, hidden away.
I love this, Bree. I love that. Absolutely think that's a great idea, Bree. That's so cool. I love stuff like that. Uh, see, I am, what did she say? Am I a good person? Then maybe a little old man, but money prices super what I reckon he had maybe a budget of $50. I asked, oh, oh, I love it. And that's the thing. I mean, and I think most people would try to, I would like to start community stuff, not just here, also where I grew up, because that's where I came from. That's that place shaped the person I am. And I'm glad for that. Do you know what I mean? So I'd like to go back and think I could help, but is that a reality? Would you know?
Here's my thing too. If I would going to help a town or a community or an area or whatever, it would have to be for people who are in charge that
Yeah.
would accept everybody
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That would be a
and
community.
not try to run certain people out or have them arrested or have them destroyed or use things in the wrong way. That's the bad part, and that's very hard because there are here. I don't know if it's the same way in all countries, but there are many tendrils that go out from in different directions that stick their little tendrils into different things that I wouldn't support. But you know, it's hard not to do that. So that would be a thing. If you're going to go in and try to help the community, it needs to be a community that will accept everybody.
Right. And I think, exactly. You'd want I would like to think that the community that I'm from would maybe be that way. I don't know if they would. My parents were that way. So, and a lot of the people who I grew up with, some of them still live there in their parents' home, which, hey, Misty, girl, how you doing?
Hey.
And I would like to think that I would like to help the community I grew up in. And I would like to help the community I live in now because I love, where I live now. It's fun. It's wonderful. It's just that the gentrification process, it's like a knife's edge. You know what I mean? It's like it's fine, but then if you go too much this way, it's like, oh no. And if it too much this way, it's like I don't know how. Hey Cheryl, I don't know how much is too much of a good thing bad. So I think the public safety gets better thanks to gentrification. This is a pro. When people invest in a new community, they want their streets to be safer. The desire benefits everyone because it creates higher level of legal enforcement concerning local laws, mandates, and regulation. No one wants to be robbed when they are walking home from work or school. The gentrification process encourages new resources to come to the community that can pay for additional police, neighborhood watch programs, and security systems and all that. That's great. But and there's nothing wrong. Yeah, everybody wants to feel safe, but it's like, but why do I have to live in a fancy neighborhood for the police to come out and protect me? Why shouldn't? Because that's the thing. The higher taxes you pay, the more you will get for your money. If you're just in a regular, lower middle class neighborhood where you don't have that kind of, your taxes are less, so you're going to have less like, uh, you know what I'm saying? Like you're going to have less protection because you're paying less taxes. And I don't think that's right. I think if the level of policing, as far as I'm concerned, should be the same regardless. Do you know what I mean? So the thing about is, so then the con is that it causes the rich to get richer while the poor may not benefit from it. So meaning that like low-income households leave their neighborhoods. It could be because they received a premium offer of the property, or because, like you said, property taxes rising, rent rising, have to relocate to areas they're not familiar with because they can't afford the rent where they're at, and now they're displaced. Do you know what I mean? So that feels like the people, the original inhabitants of the neighborhood, are being pushed out because of the, the opportunistic views of the developers and the gentrification. So it's just so, it's like, it's so hard. It's such a, you want the best for a neighborhood, but you also don't want to displace people who currently live in the neighborhood. And that's the thing. How do you make both work? Because it's hard, because as soon as you get a developer putting, knocking down the houses that are there, as soon as they put something else up, these people who live here can't afford it. Do you know what I mean? Or that, they'll sell their property for really cheap because they need the money. And then they have to go find, and even the money they get may not be enough to buy another house somewhere else. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just such a, you can see the good and you can see the problem. Do you know what I mean? Oh. As far as you are targeted, remember you can surround by neighbors who are still living the same. Yeah. Let's see. We choose to rent in a higher area so our girls could go be one of the better high schools. Next year they will go to a brand new, and that's the thing. Yeah, yes, I agree, Sally. And that's a shame, because, and that's the thing. Why are you, why aren't, and it's just the area, like you've got the, the worst schools and the worst this and the worst that, because of, and it just kind of winds me up, because it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be where, because I live in a little bit lower socioeconomic area, that I can't get the money for my school and the teachers for my school and the, and people, well, those, those kids, those areas are rough. Well, are they? Maybe because they're rough because no one's helping, because no one's giving them the opportunity. And, so it's just such a, like, oh, what is the best way for it? How do you get the middle ground? I don't know. I wish I did share the answer.
Because here's the thing, and this is going to be unpopular and sound very what's the word I want to use? Spoiled, not spoiled, but
Privileged.
Yes, privileged. Thank you very much. Going to sound very privileged, and believe me, I'm not privileged, but can you help the people who don't want to help themselves? I can give money to people. Are they going to use that money to better themselves, or are they going to use it other ways?
Well, it's not,
the reason I'm thinking about this is because I see every day, and I see a man stand in front of Walmart with his homeless sign, and Walmart is hiring. Walmart is hiring 50 feet away from him.
Yeah.
And every day he's there, or some new person is there with the sign up saying, homeless, help me. Walmart is hiring all the time. I am at Walmart and I don't want to be, but I have to be right now.
Right.
Because otherwise, not that I would be there with a homeless sign, but
you would, yeah.
So where's that line too of who you're going to help and is it going to help them?
Right. And so this is a good point. Yep. Some people are perpetually victim. Yeah. And there's some people that don't want your help, need your help, because they're quite happy doing what they're doing. But what I'm saying is, in a community where most people have to go to work and most people have to, what I'm saying, I'm not saying give people money, but there are opportunities, you know, and if people don't take them, then that's on them. But you can't let a whole community suffer because a few want to panhandle. You have to, like, and when I say community, I mean like community centers and community outreach programs and community, allotments where people can grow in exchange for. That's the kind of thing for the community. I don't mean just give them money, here you go. I mean, put things in place that makes their life better in ways that they're helping themselves. Like they're growing their own produce, and maybe they have their own little, you know, fresh fruit stall. You know, you go to this neighborhood and go to their like little allotment and you can get fresh fruit. Or they've got a wonderful community center where older residents can get together and, you know, have interaction. Or they have great, you know, afternoon programs for children when their parents have to work. Those are the kind of things that I mean to help people with. Not saying here's a couple of bucks, go buy, you know.
No,
I mean, yeah.
but I mean, even with that, are people going to take advantage of it?
I think
Not advantage of it as in,
are they going to use it? Are they going to utilize it?
yes.
Yeah. I think the people who, I think they would. Again, you're going to get people who are going to do anything in their power not to work or to take the easy way out. But then you have families who are working all the time, or older people in neighborhoods who don't have maybe, you know, others to reach out to, don't have family, and there's nowhere for them to go, and they feel scared and stay inside their house. But if you give them a community center they can go to where they can meet others and feel safe and, you know, have activities and do stuff, that's
and the people in charge who will run it right.
correctly. You would need someone in charge to run it right.
I mean, we all have heard that go on too, to where people in charge don't use things the way they're supposed to say that. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Same way with you.
Yeah.
It's just back and forth, because I think everybody deep down, no matter who they are, would love to have a June and Ward Cleaver.
No, I understand.
Kind of like we all would love to have the little neighborhood where everybody visits and everybody's friendly, and no matter if you're rich or poor, we all would like that. But the difficulty is finding the balance of getting there.
Right. Yeah, and I think maybe so. This is where me and you. This is how me and you are like yin and yang. I'm like the eternal optimist. People just want to help other people, and you're like, these people don't need no. You know, like why am I going to help? Not like why am I help these people, but are these people take it? You know, make the most of it, or are we just wasting our money? And I'm like, and I'm like utopia, and I don't believe utopia. I know there's issues and there's problems and in certain things like, you know, unemployment and, you know, addiction and these things like that occur in neighborhoods, which has an effect on the entire community. But then why should the whole community suffer because of a few? That's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you make a whole community? Well, we saw one guy panhandling, so we're not helping you guys out. We're not giving you nothing in the community because that one guy was in front of Walmart. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's
not what I'm saying. But
no, I know. But
in order to
people
upgrade your community, the community has to upgrade, has to want to
100%
take advantage of things and
you can
try to better themselves and try to.
I think people would like to if there was ways in which they could, like, you know, if there was community outreach programs or like someone organized, but you need people in these neighborhoods to right, we're going to organize cleaning the streets today. We're going to organize clean up the graffiti. But what we need is the city councilman, the police, all the people involved to help us do this and help it and to patrol it so it doesn't happen again. And you don't get that in the poor neighborhoods.
Well, and I'm also going to say this too, in the poor neighborhoods or for poorer people, you don't always trust.
Correct.
That's being offered. You do not always trust being offered things.
But then they should, you know, and council people and government officials, they know this. It's not new to them that there's a lot of mistrust between, you know, poor communities and people in charge and in government. So then make an effort. And I think if everybody made an effort and everybody tried. Yeah.
Highlight Cheryl's.
Uh-huh.
So, and here's the other thing too. There's such a stigma.
Yes, 100%.
Especially with the older generation, because I was raised by the older generation and I'm now getting to be the older generation.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. Never go on assistance. It's something people look down on. You don't want to, all that stuff. Sometimes, especially in these day and age, you need help. And let me tell you, I've been there, I've done it, and it does sort of bring you down because of the way people think about it.
Right. And you like the slightest bit of help, people like they do that well, you're just not working hard enough. I'm like, working three, people like, I'm working 3 jobs. What do you want me to do? You know what I mean? Like, I need help. Because if I'm at 3 jobs all day, I can't be home with my kids. Who's watching my kids? I have no, it's like a catch-22. And I think sometimes the way, what we call social services over here, or what, are supposed to be there to help people get back on their feet. That's the point of it.
Especially when you have a certain group of politicians that deride people being helped all the time.
Yeah. And the thing is, at some point in everybody's life, they're going to need help, whether it's from your mom and dad, or whether it's from, a friend, whether it's from a relative, whether it's from the government. At some point, someone needs help. And congratulations if you never have. But I've had to have help, and at some point in my life, you need it. And that's why I think communities should rally around each other instead of being so, let me just lock myself in my house and I don't care what you do. Well, it's kind of important what someone out there is doing, because they could be doing it to your house or your car or your family. You need to be aware. And this was about gentrification. We just totally went. Sorry guys.
Well, it's kind of,
it kind of all ties
in. Because it's such a broad topic.
It is. I didn't realize
it involves a lot of stuff.
I thought it was going to be gentrification, X, Y, Z, and I'm like, well, we kind of went on because you talk about gentrification, you talk about the good things it can do, and that goes off in a tangent. Then you talk about the negative side of it, and you go off in a tangent on that, and you know what I'm saying. So it's just. It is one of those things where you can break off a piece of it and then just run with it. So I always like to pick these topics.
Well, in a perfect world, it would be wonderful if somebody could come in, fix up a neighborhood, and make everybody happy. It would be wonderful.
Dana.
But is anybody going to come in, fix up a house, and rent it for what the people can afford to rent it for in a rundown neighborhood? Is that going to happen?
And
no, they're trying to bring in other people who have more money to get more money into the community. So they're destroying the community in which
it's a catch. It's like a horrible vicious cycle. How do we stop it? And look, we're not here to solve these problems. I wish we were, but I just think it gets people talking and gets people thinking about where they live and thinking about, gentrification as a whole, and thinking that, what is it involved, and can I, if living in my community, how can I make that better? Or how can I help someone that not necessarily needs financial help, but maybe needs, like Bree said, that they started a place where they help, they started a community where they pick up, help people clean their yards and stuff. Maybe people can't, maybe people don't have the means to, or the equipment to, or they're maybe physically unable to. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's the kind of, neighborhood, community where you take care of each other. I mean, now they just call them, it's like subdivision. Well, subdivision is a neighborhood. A neighborhood is a community. So, it's just, hey, Leanne, I think what I'm saying is, I know we all get busy. I know we all have all have our own lives and, our own interests. But I just think maybe sometimes we should kind of look out for each other a little bit, just a little bit. It's not going to hurt you. Kindness doesn't cost a thing. Kindness is free. So good. So just y'all be good to each other. The world's a horrible place as it is. Y'all be good to each other and help your communities out. But I just want to tell everybody to thank you so much for coming to my channel today. And so it was the top of the hour, and it was an interesting conversation. Thanks for everyone who participated. It was so neat to hear
I
all your
love doing these shows because everybody comes in with so many different thoughts and perspectives, and they always join in on the side with the chats and gives me something to read while Dolores is talking about her subjects, because I usually don't know anything about them.
But it's just food for thought, guys, and it's a lot to think about, and I'm just glad you all stopped by to see Daniel and I, and Kiki, and talk with us. And yes, Monica,
don't forget the thumbs up.
Be kind to our neighbors. Don't forget the thumbs up, and don't forget at 9. No, that's 9:03. Sorry, that's 9. 9.
3 p.m. Central.
3 p.m.
Come over
Central.
to Tacky is Me. I'm going to do a live. We'll have a little chat about what's going on in my life, because I like to talk about me. And then we'll do a 3 at 3, which I will have 3 items. I'll do a first live sale, sort of micro live sale, in a long time. So come on over and visit me over there. Normally we don't talk about reselling on this, but I'm trying to gentrify my channel.
Gentrify channel, y'all. It's the dumb.
Yes, John Robert. 3 p.m. Central.
Yeah, don't listen to me. I was talking in British time. Anyway, all right, guys. Thanks so much for popping by. We will see you next week on your channel. Yes. Thursday?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thursday at 1 p.m.
All right, guys.
Time.
Y'all take care and have a great Easter. Bye.
Bye.